Welcome to Trolley House. I'm Michael Calkins, Chief Sales Officer.
And I'm Scott Halloran, Chief Executive Officer. So, very quickly, we'd like to share with you a little bit of our company history and how we got to where we are today.
Yeah, in 1978, my brother-in-law started vending services in Richmond out of the trunk of his car. I always thought the business looked like a ton of fun and had a lot of great growth opportunities. So I asked him if I could buy the company, and in 2006 he said yes. So since then I've been with the business. I've always been looking for new growth opportunities, new technologies, and just love working with my clients.
That's great. And similar to his brother-in-law, in 1995 I actually started Halloran's refreshment services out of the trunk of my car. Started out with 4 drink machines, doing that part-time while I was full-time operating as a manager in the restaurant industry, and slowly built the business over a few years until I was able to break away and go full-time into the company.
In 2010, we received a letter from Avanti Markets inviting us to come look at this new crazy vending program where everything is open to the customer just to grab it out and pay at a self-checkout kiosk. But we took a look at it, liked it, and took a chance on it, and started building the micro market program at Vending Services of Richmond. Scott was doing the same thing at Halloran's. What really happened is we ended up competing very heavily against each other and not against the major companies like Canteen, Aramark, and Sodexo.
So in 2011, I ventured to take a risk, and I called up Michael to have a lunch one day. From that lunch, we continued conversations, and a few short months later, in July of 2011, we merged our companies together to create Trolley House Refreshments. And where did that name come from? Just a quick background. In 1888, Richmond, Virginia was the first city in America to have an operating trolley system. And so this is a little bit of a throwback to the history of Richmond, since we are a local company with local ownership.
And one of the first things we tried to do was rebrand our coffee program. So we came up with Trolley Coffee and Tea. We found a new roaster who would roast the coffee for us, and we must say we've got some of the best coffee in the world. We named our coffees after different areas in Richmond where the trolley used to stop, and also after some famous people. So today we currently have Patrick Henry's Wake Up Call, which is our light roast, Forest Hill Breakfast Blend, which is our medium roast, Shockoe Bottom Dark, our dark roast, which is awesome, Seven Hills Colombian, and Chimborazo Decaf.
So in 2015, we started making our own food at Feast Catering and Events. And it was very much a startup with a small group, but we started our commissary to make foods for the micro markets.
Yeah, we found that a lot of people wanted Feast Catering Events to come out and have us provide box lunches and perhaps provide catering for their company holiday party, which we weren't able to do out of our current kitchen. So in 2016, we were fortunate enough to buy Groove and Gourmet's Catering and Events. And since then, we've built the company to be an award-winning premier catering company in Richmond, Virginia. We can do anything from company holiday parties to weddings to the governor's inauguration, which we just did this past January. We fed close to 4,000 people with a staff of 176. That was a ton of fun.
Soon after launching purchasing Groove and Gourmet's, we got into what's called the pantry side of the business. Now, you're familiar with vending machines, now starting to get a little bit of familiarity with micro markets. Pantry service is basically where we come in and stock shelves and coolers of drinks, and that's a free service to the employees of either the company, or you may have stayed in a hotel and seen their sweet shop down in the lobby where you can go down and make a purchase. So we have a program to not only stock and manage inventory, but refill these pantries both at the corporate level and in the hotel level. And we do that throughout the Central Virginia and Eastern Shore regions of Virginia.
2019, the Linden Row Inn approached us to see if we would potentially operate their restaurant and do all the catering on site for the weddings at the Linden Row Inn. So we were able to work out a deal with them to open up a restaurant called Parterre. And you might ask how we came up with that name. Well, it's rumored that Edgar Allan Poe used to play in the gardens on site at Linden Row Inn. So we named Parterre because it's an ornamental garden and it's referenced in his poem To Helen. And I will now recite To Helen for you.
Please no.
At any rate, Parterre has one of the best patios in Richmond and the food is phenomenal. Yeah, we ended up with so many different brands and so many different companies that it got to be a little bit confusing. So we came up with Trolley Hospitality Companies, which is our major holding brand. And we have all our businesses behind that and all our future businesses to come.
And so as part of our plan in 2019, the part we weren't doing yet was getting into corporate dining, corporate cafes, and we were getting ready to launch that before COVID. So we've now taken what we developed during Trolley Eats virtual food hall during COVID, and we've created a food service division called Trolley Eats. And under Trolley Eats, we will be doing corporate dining and cafeterias, corporate cafes, think like a Starbucks at work, and then our picnic catering called Trolley Eats Catering, which is more of your barbecue cookout out in the parking lot style of service.